kind of feel like the landscape, I feel like watching it as long as you and I have, the landscape has kind of changed to where, it is affecting fathers as well. So it's kind of getting, and their screams kind of get lost in the whole Michigana of it, if you will. It's just kind of like, because...
No, it's just a bunch of different card games and Holocaust scams going on at the same time. It's always been this way. Mothers have always had their children stolen. I've met mothers that's been doing this for 30 and 40 years, or have had some part in the advocacy program for 30 and 40 years, and have shown me articles written back in the 80s when they were trying to save their own children back then. And also working with, what's her name?
Oh, Nancy Schaefer, Senator Nancy Schaefer.
Way before Nancy Schaefer with the Menendez brothers. This woman, childhood shouldn't hurt. That officer, they showed me work that they did with that officer back in the 80s. Childhood shouldn't hurt. Google it. I'm not next to a computer right now. And
well, shoot it over to me, because I like to attach links, to verify my interview.
Childhood shouldn't hurt, lady. I remember, and they was covering up. Pizzagate is only satanic ritual abuse. That's the new name for it. And that was the Menendez brothers. That was John Benet Ramsey. That was the CIA.
Are you talking about the attorney that was on the O.J. Simpson case as well? Is she? Is that?
She's not an attorney. She's she started NASA, the child sex abuse for mothers, back in that advocate.
Oh, she's an advocate. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Google it right now as we speak.
MASA, M-A-S-A, Mothers Against Sexual Abuse.
MASA, Mothers Against Sexual Abuse. Okay.
Yeah, this was programs back in the 80s. So these things have been going on for a very, very, very long time. And a lot of the key players that we are exposing today, the Clinton, they've been a part of this from 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, the founder is in California, and her name is Claire Reeves.
Claire Reeves, yeah, Dr. Claire Reeves, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And so,
thank you.
I've met mothers these last 3 years that's been, and she started these programs in the 80s. Mothers Against Sexual Abuse, and it was children being kidnapped from their mothers from back then, and we were always under the guise that mothers get sole custody and things like that. But there's numerous and various con games and slavery con games to enslave children, mothers, parents, fathers. This is all part of that Tavistock plan that was written up in the 1910s, 1900s to desecrate America. So, but like I said, out of the various scams and con games for different mothers, fathers, parents, whatsoever, I focus on mothers because people have this false belief that mothers are safe, that we have the Violence Against Women Act, which is another eugenic scam, and we have all of this child protection services. Right now we have SVU, sex trafficking children. And we have mothers that go into these courts under the guise of protection and help, and they're being deemed unfit, and they have their children transferred to sexual abusers and child abusers, and then that end up usually killing these children and harming these women, harming these women. So I just wanted to focus on moms, and I was actually speaking with a dad. He wanted me to help him write a book, but right now, what I was saying, I have wrote A Little Lynch. This was new for me. I came into A Little Lynch right in that book of 2012 with Trust to these courts. I had met over 300 mothers. Remember, they had that Occupy, was it Wall Street?
Mm-hmm.
And they had mothers doing Occupy Court Street here in New York. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Occupy Court Street, wow. I'm in family court right now. This is about 2010, 2011. I was like, wow, I'm in family court right now. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And they were like, they're stealing our children. And I'm like, no way, they can't just steal your children. They can't just make things up about you. They can't just lie and say you're an unfit mom and you're a good mom. And I couldn't believe it. And one of the advocates called me. She was like, are you coming down to the movement? And I was like, you know, I didn't get my nails done. I didn't get my hair done. And she's like, are you serious? When they steal one of your children? No, she said, when they steal your children, then you'll understand. And I was like, what? Why is she? This was before my child was stolen. 2012.
This was your mindset. I want to, yeah, and then you produce this wonderful, wonderful book, and I suggest anybody that is new to the movement, or you're experiencing a court case and you're in DV court, purchase the book A Little Lynch, because it is an eye opener, and Aaliyah Holland has so much insight into this. When I was going through my personal case and fighting my case, I got an eye-opening, rude awakening, if you will, a rude awakening by your book. But it was good. Like, you know, there's so much good information in there, and
thanks.
Yeah, we need your voice. We need your voice. I want to ask you something. So in the Porthole to Justice, 2 nights ago, I posted, this is going to be a tough case. It's a tough case. Presley. Lisa Marie Presley. Yeah, she reported finding, pornographic images.
Child porn on her husband,
yeah.
Did she actually report it? Or
I think
it was kind of weird for me because, you know, there was the whole Michael Jackson situation.
Well, yeah, I think it's very bold for her to come out. If she did report it, it was her that reported it. You know, this is such shaky ground. A lot of people are going to have a lot of opinions.
But then again, it's the mom that reported it, but she's being targeted because why would they take her children away from her?
Exactly.
To make her look unfit. There we go again. To make her look unfit.
Exactly.
To make her look unstable, or that she was an accomplice in some way or some form. That's what I'm talking about when I say the eugenics scam and the eugenicide. You know, because you're never in life supposed to separate children from their mother. That's their spiritual connection. That's their lifeline. And young children, they're just, when children get sick, they never cry for their daddy. They always cry for their mommy, even if the mom is an abusive mom.
Well, let's just talk like on legal terms. Even the courts recognize the mother as being the port of entry into this world. So, you know, whatever your mother's heritage is, that is your child's heritage. So even the courts acknowledge that the mother is a sacred vessel.
So easily to take the children and put them in like a foster care system with strangers. When you isolate children at such an early age, and so like abruptly, and so I know, you know, children don't know what's going on. They could develop mental illness. They can develop all different types of mental illnesses.
Well, it does. It causes SAD, which is very it's very much documented. You can search it online. It's called separation anxiety disorder, which is very real.
And then those things develop, and so they have so many different real biological chemical imbalances that develop.
It causes brain injury. You know,
No,
if a child is separated from their mother while they're breastfeeding, it literally causes the child brain injury.
And failure to thrive and maternal deprivation and all of these different things that lead children into maladaptive, you know, situation where they can, it could really be irreparable.
Yeah.
That's what it could really be irreparable. So quickly to snatch these, like for instance, I come from a big family, and I'm actually the first one that ever been in like a family court situation where our children has been captured and enslaved and held against their will and hostage. This is like modern day slavery and a Holocaust. And because they do use these behavioral modification mind games on us and on our children. And they're doing it by the millions. But you could put the children with family members. You could put the children with close relatives. To just snatch two children out of a home and put them in a completely strange environment is like putting them in isolation. And
well, no, and that's literally what they're doing to all of us. All of us that they're targeting. They're putting us into isolation. And
most people that go into isolation never make it out safe. You know, you could put adults in isolation, and within 48 hours, they can be like a Kanye West. Their brain wiped out.
Yeah.
And completely brainwashed and traumatized for life. And it's been documented. Like, I was reading some books back in like the 1800s, and what's his name? Charles Dickens. I'm getting old. He had a book talking about how they were putting people in isolation in the 1800s, and they were losing their mind.
Yeah.
In the 1800s.
Yeah.
And you could Google it. I'll send you the links and everything. But I didn't know I was doing this show tonight. But I'm happy to be here with you.
No, and this is the thing. It's, you know, it's almost like they've wiped out a whole generation of minds, and they're wiping out our voices so that we can't speak to the younger generation that's actually experiencing this and needs to learn and needs to know. You know, they need to know what came before them, how this came about. What books to go to, where to go to, what advocates, you know, that there are people out there that are even speaking out on these topics. It's
well, the unfortunate thing is the people that are supposed to protect us are protecting the Pizzagate people. They're protecting the bad judges. They're protecting the CPS, because really CPS is not powerful without the family court judges. Like, CPS is just the fall guy and the scapegoat and the pasty for the family court judges. And then if you think about it, you have millions. They say about 3 million children are court-ordered into sex slavery a year. And court-ordered, you said something. Folks, she said court-ordered into sex slavery a year. How many? At least 3 million.
At least 3 million children court-ordered into sex slavery a year. That alone, okay, that number alone should alarm you. Those statistics can be found in Victims of Crime. You can go to victimscrime.org. You can also go to the DOJ, the Victims
CDC.
of Crime. Yeah,
well, what I had to do was get like sex abuse reports from like the CDC and like different independent agencies that drug children. Like, okay, it's this organization. I'll get the name for you, and they monitor
the numbers speak for themselves. You know, and we've, you know, I've been doing this. Mental health admissions, because most of these children I've been doing this
crazy to set them up.
Yeah, I've been doing this show for